Hello, everyone, and welcome to an international break version of the FPL watch list. Thank you all for joining. Tom is having a little bit of time off from his fantasy football scout work, but he's decided to turn up because he's had a good game week and he likes to turn up when things are looking all rosy. We'll come to you first, Tom. How are we doing?
Yeah, very well. Enjoying the time off. I'm in on the wet and windy English coast, so that's I'm taking shelter in my hotel room. But I'm warmed by my FPL team and the subsequent mini league. And I've got to say to Harry, thank you for talking me out of Dewsbury Hall to Reinders just on Friday night. That
Dewsbury
worked out
Hall
quite
looks,
well in the end.
he's now the flavour of the moment now. We're all
But he's the
selling
best.
Reinders
I'm
to
never
go and
selling
buy.
him.
Yeah,
I'm not. Yeah, he's brilliant.
we're all selling Reinders and Anderson to go and buy Dewsbury Hall now. If we had the luxury of transfers, which we definitely don't, isn't that right, Stephen?
Yeah, we definitely don't. There's fires everywhere to be put out, but I'm looking forward to this international break just to give myself a break from FPL because it's been a bit of a disaster start.
Yeah, hopefully some of our players can have a long, hard look in the mirror over the international break and wonder exactly what they've done, particularly that double up on Aston Villa. They need a little bit of a talking to. That is definitely for sure. And if you're in the chat with Rogers and Watkins, I'm sure we're going to talk about some of them today and why we might end up keeping them. We're going to dive straight in and we'll let Tom go first. Tom, talk us through your team this week.
Yeah, I think the difference with many is just Dewsbury Hall got quite fortunate with that. Bruno captain came in for Palmer. Like I said it last week, I wasn't really tempted by Cunha or Mbumo just for the security. I just thought they're going to get a penalty, and now they've got City and Chelsea. I want Bruno and Defcons as well, so that worked out well, albeit it was the 97th minute. Nori may as well not have turned up for zero. Chris Richards was in my team all week until we got the news that Nori was fine. But yeah, Sanchez quite fortunate, I must say, to be fair.
Fortunate with Sanchez 6 and João Pedro 9. There's a few points there.
João Pedro is deserved, I think. He's a great
Yeah.
player. And yeah, and now obviously a lot's changed. I've got Guiu back at Chelsea, so I've got treble Chelsea again now. But yeah, a good game week, and I'm probably looking to roll. But Sarr was tempting before, and then Anderson obviously on 11 Defcons again, which I'm convinced I saw a recovery at the end, but obviously not. I must be imagining things.
Are we getting to
I
the
don't
point
even
where
know what a
we're
recovery is,
counting
to be
we're
honest.
counting defensive contributions now, are we?
I
Throughout
was
Well,
the
I
at
game?
I
was,
was
yeah.
at the Chelsea game and had Anderson second on my bench and I was still counting his DEFCON. I was like, what is happening? Why do I care?
What even is a ball recovery? I'm not
I
entirely sure.
don't
But
know.
anyway.
And what counts as a tackle and what doesn't count as a tackle? I don't know yet. I see so many things and I'm like, I don't know. I need to re-familiarize myself with the definition. It's a bit unfair of you to drop Ismail Assar's name into this already because both Stephen and I bought Ismail Assar. I'll let you go first, Stephen. At least you
Yeah,
started
I
him.
mean, yeah, at least I played him. I was going to say Harry, but I got something out of him before I have to ship him on. Yeah, I got my triple palace here, which looked very nice going into the next few game weeks with Munoz, Sarr, and Mateta. In fact, the only three outfielders I had to actually return this game week. Other than
Your
that,
like no offense, but your game week was looking rough before that game.
yeah, it was looking rough. In fact, I only had one player on the Saturday, which was Sanchez and Nets. So I had a really good start to the game week, and then everything was hinging on this game. So it all kind of fell into place. And then yeah, I had five players in that Palace Aston Villa game, so that was definitely a must watch for me. But other than the Palace players, no returns, and obviously my transfers last week with Palmer and Gio out for Sarr and Wood. It kind of went well. I obviously captained Wood, which didn't work out, but Sarr got me the goal before he went off injured, or he didn't go off injured. He reported injured after the game. So hopefully, yeah, I've actually not had a green arrow yet this season, so hopefully can turn things around. But there's a lot of problems, a lot of fires with this team that I need to address.
Yeah, I have similar. I got 52 points this week, so I made the same transfer. So I brought in Chris Wood and Ismail Assar, but I benched Sarr. I just was worried a little bit about their fatigue until the 87th minute. I Like, he didn't have that much in the game. And then he comes through with a 7-pointer, and now he looks like he's done his hamstring. So I don't even get the luxury of the 7 points, and I'm completely fine about it. Not bitter at all. Not annoyed that I've wasted 2 transfers on buying Chris Wood for a blank, who now goes away to Arsenal, and Ismail Assar, who's now injured. Like, it's fine. We love it. But this season started really well for all of us. Anyway,
I can already see you benching Chris Wood against Arsenal, and then he gets a goal and then gets injured.
I'm going to take a hit to sell Sarr now he's injured, and Chris Wood's going to score on my bench. That's what's going to happen.
There you go.
It's how the season has begun. But actually, I mean, I did get a green arrow. I got 52 points. João Pedro, Bruno captain. I mean, and outside of that, Porro with the late DEFCON, and Sanchez, Agbadou. I mean, I didn't expect loads from him, but I at least expected him to hit DEFCON every once in a while. So I am wondering about him. Anderson on my bench, Williams and Nottingham Forest. I think we can all agree the Forest defence has not lived up to what we thought they would do at the start of the season. Yeah, Sarr got booked for pulling his hamstring. Like, did you see it? Like, they thought he dived, but he didn't. He just leapt to the ground because he'd pulled the muscle, and he got booked for it. He must have looked and like wondered what was going on. But yeah, the double Aston Villa is probably the best place to start. So I have both. Stephen, you also have both. And Tom, you just have Watkins. Let's talk about Watkins, but we can also talk about Morgan Rogers while we're there. Only team in the league now not to have scored a goal. Ollie Watkins has averaged about 0.4 XGI per 90, though, already so far this season over the first 3 games. Everton away, Sunderland away, Fulham at home, Burnley at home. For how long can we say, but the fixtures are good, before we look to sell them? I'll come to you first, Stephen, because you've got both. How do you feel about them? Are you more comfortable with one of them than the other?
That's actually a great question. I think I'd be more comfortable with, I mean, probably with Watkins, honestly, just based off what I've from an eye test perspective, but also with all the new transfers coming in at Villa. Not to say I think that Rodgers' minutes will decline. I do think he's Emery's guy, but yeah, I mean, it's so tough because I was the biggest Watkins shiller at the start of the season. Like, he had such a strong preseason. He got 5 goals in a row, and then obviously the season started and Villa just forgot how to score. But I saw an interesting stat. Not only are they the only team in the Prem not to have scored, the only team in England's top 4 divisions not to score yet. So my conclusion is that teams don't simply forget how to score. And when you look at all the attack and transfers that Villa have got, they've got Guessant, Sancho, Harvey Elliott as well. Clearly, they are addressing the issue, which makes me very hopeful with this nice run of fixtures. And obviously, with double Villa attack, I need something to turn around here.
Yeah, literally, you got to that game at the end of it and you're like, oh, if they just, combine for 1 goal, it suddenly looks so much better. But yeah, failing to score. Tom, how are you feeling on Watkins?
I think you've got to be fairly measured. Like, he's obviously blanked 3 times. He had a big chance against Palace just before half time, which he should have really put away. Everton next. Everton on paper looks tough, but they got battered against Leeds defensively. They kept a clean sheet up against Brighton that they had to save a penalty for, and Welbeck obviously missed from 4 yards. And they obviously just shipped 2 to Wolves, who haven't scored before that.
I think they're the third
that
worst
Michael Keane's still
XGC
there.
conceded so far this season.
Yeah, so
Wow.
I'm not worried about this fixture. I'm not going to sell him. I don't think it's Gyökeres time yet. My view on Gyökeres is pretty he seems a bit like a flat track bully. I don't want to get hammered in the comments by Arsenal fans. He reminds me a bit of Lukaku in terms of he's going to clean up against Leeds, but he's done absolutely nothing for me against Liverpool and Man United, or at least not anything that screams I've got the wrong 9 million forward. And in my plan, it's Haaland in 6 for Watkins, regardless of what Watkins does. So I'm going to keep for the next 2. He's got Sunderland and Burnley in his next 4. Wasn't it a couple of seasons ago he did nothing and then got 20 points against Brighton?
Yeah,
it's kind of what he does. He can be quite streaky.
Yeah, someone actually said that to me. He blanked in the first 2 and got 5 in game week 3, and then suddenly went crazy. I still think the chances are there. I think the issue more arises if you've got a double up, because you're feeling the effects of it a lot more. But I don't really know where I'd go from Rodgers. We'll talk there are midfielders that we can look at, but Semenyo's just going up and up in price, and I'm getting more and more reluctant to pay the money that he's at now. I think he's up to 7.4, which he's been fantastic, but I'm a little bit reluctant to pay that price. You've got Kudus, but Spurs are signing players all over the place. They just failed to score against Bournemouth. And I still go back to what I heard on Planet FPL before the start of the season, that Kudus looks very shot shy, and they wonder quite how many goals he'll be able to score this season. His assist potential is good, but how many goals are we going to get from him?
Have you seen his XG?
Who, SARS? Kudus.
Kudus, yeah, 0.06 in 3 matches.
Well, that's the point. Like, he's probably had 1 shot in 3 games. Like, he's going to rack up some assists. But again, if Richarlison doesn't do either of those crazy finishes in game week 1, he's blanked 3 times, and it's not nearly quite as appealing. Grealish is the other one that you could have a look at. He's looked really good. I've been very impressed with him, and that Everton side look a much better team with him in. But it's more, and it's similar for Watkins. It's where do you go if you do decide to sell them? And I think that's pretty similar with a lot of us. Is we're struggling to find players that we're really comfortable buying. And it's why I'm not wildcarding, because I don't have enough conviction to build a wildcard team. Stephen, in terms of replacements, have you considered selling either of them and where you'd go?
Yes, obviously, I've also considered selling Sar as well with a bit of money in the bank. I think it's so funny because in pre-season, we were all looking at our teams and all the players. We were like, how can I get... I want everyone. I want every single player. And now we're at the point where we're like, can we just play like a 5-a-side, maybe 5-a-side FPL team? Like, I don't even want to play any of these guys.
We'll just play FPL Challenge every week.
Is 6 at the back an option now? Maybe we should... honestly, we're getting to that point. I think for me, I look at the replacements for the likes of Rodgers and Sarr, and I'm a fixtures manager. I think we all are. And I just look at those Spurs fixtures and think, which of them do I want to get? Like, Spurs just have really, really solid fixtures. Obviously, Villa, they actually have the best fixtures when you look over the next 5 or so game weeks. But yeah, it's got to be Kudus for me if I was to make a move today. But also I'm looking at I hate to get players in who have never played in the Prem, but from what I've seen of Xavi Simons, and if he does get the minutes in that Spurs side, obviously a wait and see. But I wouldn't turn anyone against it necessarily getting him in.
He's presumably going to play in the 10 as well, right?
Yeah.
So
he's definitely an option.
I mean, we spoke about it last week. We're talking of Spurs, Richarlison, and with Brennan Johnson. And we saw all the issues that we thought could arise with them came to light in the past week, right? Brennan Johnson subbed off before the 60th minute. Richarlison blank, and they've signed Kolo Muani. Both of them look like huge issues. So it does feel like Xavi Simons and then Kudus. But the other thing you've got to note on them is the Champions League starts between game week 4 and 5. So you have that added element of some more fixture congestion for them. So players who are already slight risk for minutes become even bigger concerns. And like Xavi Simons, is he going to come in and go straight? Like who in that team is going to play 3 times a week, I suppose, is the other question that we've got there. And that's the case for lots of them, right? We've got the same for Liverpool. You've got Chelsea, you've got lots of Palace, you've got lots of those teams starting to play in Europe now. So there are definitely risks with a lot of these. I'm just going to have a look at the Spurs fixtures. Who is their first? They got Villarreal at home in between game weeks 4 and 5. So, I mean, they probably want to get off on the right foot in the Champions League. So you probably expect a pretty full strength lineup there. So general conclusion is hold unless you've got luxury of getting rid of Rodgers, but Watkins is a hold.
I think he's a hold for most people. I would, if you don't have João Pedro, I'd be slightly tempted. If you don't have Mateta, I'd be slightly tempted. They'd be my top 2. But I also think Watkins has got Everton, Burnley, Sunderland, the next 4. Like, if you sell him, you should be aware that he's probably going to score 2 or 3 goals. But maybe Mateta's better this week. You don't have Salah, you captain him, maybe. But yeah, Rodgers. But again, I'd probably keep. I will say I prefer Ndiaye to Grealish. You shout a Grealish out. I think just the goal threat and the penalties. Grealish seems very, very assist dominant.
Yeah. I know Ndiaye he played 90 last week, fine. So the Brighton early sub was just a one-off. Right. Yeah, I mean, Mateta's who we're going to talk about next. I suppose the first thing we need to discuss is at the end of that game in game week 3, he literally said, we're all so tired already. they are now going to be without Sarr and without Adam Wharton, we think, for a couple of games at least. Do we have any concern about what that does to them as a team, both in terms of what they're able to create, but also in terms of fatigue, having to play, 3 times a week? Stephen?
Yeah, I mean, you look at those two things combined, the players that they've lost and the fixture congestion, and it's definitely it's a recipe for disaster when you think about it. Like you can't expect them to play the same way that they did even like 2 weeks ago when they still had Eze in the squad because he's such a
Yeah.
big player for them. And I actually think them losing Eze is a bigger impact on the team as well as Adam Wharton than is the fixture congestion necessarily. But they're not really a team with a lot of depth when you look at the players outside of the starting 11. Like the players coming in are players that if you're not a regular Premier League watcher, you would say, "Oh, who is this guy? I've never even seen him play before." But from zooming in on Mateta, I do think he is probably everything you could ask for in an FPL striker in the sense that he's got 90 minutes more or less. He's on pens and he's in a relatively, good attacking side with great upcoming fixtures. And he only costs 7.5 mil. I think as long as you're aware that he does love to kick corner flags and get yellow cards, which, obviously ruins his bonus point potential. If you can put up with that, I do think he's a good buy.
Tom, thoughts on Mateta?
Well, he needs to learn how to kick it, but not knock it out of the ground to avoid the card. So he needs to work on that. I think he's the best striker to buy this week. Like, I think if Watkins did his hamstring playing for England, touch wood, everyone would buy Mateta. I think probably agree with that. I think he's got the fixtures, penalties. I think he's the best striker to buy. Might put me off captaining him if he didn't own Salah. Like if he had Haaland against Mateta this week, I think we do have to see how Palace will set up.
Yeah.
They've obviously bought Pino, but hasn't he got a little injury as well?
Yeah,
Or have
I
I
saw
just
that
made that
somewhere.
up?
Yeah, no, I'm sure I saw that. Didn't he pull out the Spain squad?
Um,
I might be wrong.
yeah, I think so. So it's going to be what Devaney and Pino behind Mateta. I mean, it's not that good, is it? And then Wharton out in midfield. Um, but like we saw this with Gahey. We said, well, Gahey was injured last season, and they were fine. They lost Chalobah in January, and they were fine. Glasnow is an incredible coach. So it wouldn't put me off Mateta fixture wise, I don't think.
Yeah, I think I probably agree. Like, I still like him as an option. I still expect him to. Like, if Palace are going to score now, surely he's got to be the one that's going to be in and around it. So I don't mind it. Yeah, the upcoming fixtures are good until like game week 12 onwards. So he is a nice long term buy. Yeah, I can't really put him off it. Tom, would you go if you didn't own either? You didn't own Mateta or João Pedro. Who would you buy first?
I've been going back and forth with João Pedro in my head like the last few days. Like that's obviously my life, just thinking about it. But he's like, do you think his minutes in the Champions League are going to be like? Do you think he's just going to start every game and Palmer's going to be managed and Guiu like if like Sunderland at home, for example, could you see Guiu start? I could, but I don't know. Like João Pedro, he seems to me to be like our best attacker at the minute. What do you think about
I don't
his
particularly
minutes?
see him coming out. Like, could he miss one game? Yeah, like it's possible, but he's so versatile as well, and he's Maresca's said that, so I wouldn't worry about that. I think Mateta is just as much risk.
Yeah, I probably urge the Mateta then just with these fixtures and the penalties and with João Pedro, I think we do need to see a little bit of open play threat.
Yeah.
Because he scored, like we seem to now be the best team from corners, which I didn't see coming. It turns
When did
out
that happen?
if you pass the ball to 5 foot Cucurella at the near post, you can score every time. But like he scored what? He's got his 2 goals have been from corners and he got his 2 assists from corners as well, I think.
Well,
Or at least one of them. So
Yeah, one and scored
I
twice.
would buy
corners, yeah.
Mateta ahead of João Pedro.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd buy
my
Mateta ahead of João Pedro.
my only question for the two Chelsea fans here is like I see that João Pedro's sort of been playing in that 10 role as well. If he doesn't play there, who do you guys have that is going to play there? I'm just wondering with the rotation, like who could play there with Cole Palmer also out?
I think João Pedro goes back up front now.
Okay. So you would say that his minutes
Well,
are
what do you
secure
think
even with
Palmer's
that?
fit?
Well, if Palmer's back, I think it'll be Palmer in the 10 and João Pedro up front. If Palmer's not fit,
Could put Neto up front and start Garnacho and Gittins or something,
Yeah,
or Esteban.
we'll end up playing a winger up front. I don't think he'll put Mark Guiu in, for people wondering.
I
wouldn't be hugely surprised if it happens against Brentford, but I don't think it will be his long-term solution.
No, and Maresca rotates. Maresca is so hard to predict. But on Guiu, I would say, if you remember last January when Jackson limped off, I think it was against West Ham, Guiu came on. He was like the first solution, and then he got injured in the same game and was out till May. So if he hadn't got injured, he would have started a lot of Premier League matches after Jackson got injured, and he probably wouldn't be 4.5 now. But I think he'll get minutes. But yeah, it's João Pedro is obviously the one, and Palmer when he's fit.
Does it make someone like Pedro Neto slightly more interesting with the potential that he does play up top?
It does slightly. I don't actually. I think it's a similar tale to when we talk about Gordon in that situation. That I don't actually think it makes him any better. It makes him slightly better, but I don't think it has a huge impact. And Neto is just like, he is a workhorse. He runs so much, but with Champions League starting, I would really, really struggle to pick Neto. I think.
Fair.
3 games a week.
We got Garnacho now.
He's almost guaranteed to play 90 against Bayern between game week 3 and game week 4 and game week 5. Like, almost nailed on to play that. So with the amount of wingers we've got now, I would be very cautious of going Neto. If I was buying one, it would be Enzo. I would.
We forgot about Buonanotte. Sorry.
Oh, there you go.
He can play 10, can't he?
Why have we? Someone explain why we've signed him.
I would assume because they don't want to spend loads of money because we got Kendry Paez next year.
Yeah, fine.
They just want a number 10 backup.
I would temper expectations on Enzo, that I don't think he's on penalties. I mean, I expect Palmer to take them, of course, but I also think João Pedro gave Enzo the penalty on Saturday. So I was at the game, and I'm almost convinced that João Pedro gave Enzo that penalty because Enzo wanted to prove a point. There was a whole...
What was that point?
So Enzo, like, I don't know if it's been reported, after the first Chelsea goal where Enzo assisted it, Enzo shushed the crowd, the whole stadium. He basically went all the way around shushing them all because he was getting pelters.
He lost his head completely.
He completely lost his head because he was not good in the first half an hour, 45 minutes. And then he got the assist and he wanted to prove a point. And I think he wanted to prove the point with a penalty. I completely think that's what happened. And I would expect João Pedro to take them from what I saw. So I wouldn't say that Enzo's our backup taker. I don't know if you agree, Tom. Were you there?
I was there, yeah, because you texted me at half. I texted you. I said he should be subbed off and then he scored and it was all fine. But I think I wouldn't go as far as he gave it to him because I didn't see him really do that. But I would say I always thought Enzo was going to smash that penalty in and do a big celebration.
Yeah.
And we'll have to see, I think, going forward.
Yeah. Cool. Where should we go next? I think... Oh, Wirtz. Right. That's outside of Chelsea. Let's go and talk about Liverpool. So, who has Wirtz here? Tom, you do. Would you want to... How do you feel on Wirtz?
I feel like I feel a lot better after the second half against Arsenal. Like, I thought he was way better. I think that was his best game for Liverpool by far. He had that good chance at the end where he turned and swiveled and got a shot on target. And then he passed the ball a couple of times to Salah where you thought Salah might be in and probably should have done better. And then Salah lost his touch. And then, of course, he went down and everyone was like, oh, my God, he's done his hamstring. But it turns out it's just cramp. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, but I think regardless of what you think of him, you're not going to sell him before Burnley and Everton. And that's my plan. Like, I'm going to move him to Semenyo in game week 6. But these next two, Burnley and Everton, like I'm just not going to sell him. And I'm slightly optimistic that I think he's going to have a day out where he announces himself. And I think it's more likely to be Burnley than the Merseyside derby.
Yeah, fair. I mean, for me personally, he up until, let's say, the second half against Arsenal, he really wasn't passing I'll call it the FPL eye test, because he's sort of reminded me a lot of Odegaard in that he's obviously very technical, creative player, but may not lead to a lot of FPL returns to justify his price tag. The assist of the assister is what people have been saying. But yeah, that being said, he did obviously come into his own in the second half against Arsenal. Started to look dangerous and could have even had an assist. But yeah, with Burnley the next fixture, I just think if he doesn't do anything there, that's got to be his last hurrah in a lot of FPL managers teams.
Yeah, I think if he was to blank against Burnley, he was very good in the second half, or better in the second half. Um, so I wouldn't particularly worry about it if you own him, and I would take any upcoming price drops on the chin and keep him for those couple of games. But if for some reason he did blank against Burnley and then Everton, he's an obvious sell, right? But you've got to keep him for those two.
Yeah, if I've just realised if he blanks against Burnley, I could just go to Semenyo a week early. Which, to be fair, if Wirtz keeps dropping in price as well, is something I might do. But yeah, you can't sell him before Burnley. If you've held him this long, it's probably a bit like Watkins in isolation. Obviously, Watkins has way more proven history, but yeah, I don't see what you're doing. Who would you sell him to this week? We just spoke that Sar's injured. I guess there would have been a case for Sar if he was fit.
I just don't think there's a single world where you can sell Wirtz before Burnley away.
Yeah, if you do transfer him out before Burnley, I would love to see the rest of anyone's team who does that because there's a lot more fires to put out than Wirtz at the moment.
Like if you've held him through Newcastle and Arsenal to now sell him before Burnley. Yeah.
Yeah, fair.
I don't think there's a situation where that feels like a sensible thing to do unless you needed the money, but for what, I suppose.
How do you feel as a non-owner, Harry? Like, he's not even in your thoughts. Like, you're happy that
I'm not happy that I don't own any. I only own Salah from Liverpool, and I don't feel particularly comfortable with that going into Burnley. And the other players that I thought could outperform them over the couple of weeks while Liverpool had difficult fixtures haven't really done that. So I don't look at Wirtz and think I'm worried about not owning him in particular. I'm worried that I expect Liverpool to score a decent amount of goals in the next couple of games, and I don't have very much cover from that. It's more how I feel. I think if I was buying new, the issue with it, right? If I was going to say if I was buying new, I'd probably buy Gakpo. But the issue with buying Gakpo is you've got the whole what is Isak going to do to that lineup, whereas Wirtz is going to stay in it pretty much regardless. Like it's the front three that starts to become, or the striker in the left wing. So Wirtz, although hasn't performed, and Ekitike and Gakpo performing better, Wirtz suddenly feels like the safer route into the Liverpool attack. So I wouldn't worry at all if I had him.
Yeah, I think that's a really big point that I hadn't actually considered in Wirtz's favor. Like you said, you just look at the rest of the squad, and with Isak coming in and shaking everything up, it really is Wirtz it doesn't affect him too much, does it? I mean, the only argument you could make is like, how do we fit Ekitike and Isak and Gakpo into the same team? And that would probably look something like Ekitike playing a bit behind Isak, which would subsequently mean Wirtz is out of the squad. But I don't see that happening. I see Wirtz as, I agree. I think the Isak transfer makes him probably more appealing, you know?
Yeah, because of the minutes. Yeah.
He's going to get Defcons at some point as well. He's got 9 and 8 in 2 of his games.
He's just a Bruno wannabe. That's all he is.
That's probably like that does kind of feed in. Like, would you take him out for Ekitike? Like, he does do good defensive work if you're slot, I think. Like, he does help. He does track back and help the system.
What, and play Ekitike in the 10?
No, because Steven just said it would be Wirtz who drops out if Ekitike, Isak, and Gakpo were all in a team.
It would, but I think how does he line that up?
Yeah, I mean, the way I saw it was potentially, I mean, I'm not Arne Slot, but I could see Ekitike as like a 9.5, because he does seem like that kind of player that could do that. But I could just imagine, I just have it in my mind, if Isak, Gakpo, and Ekitike are all in the same team, there's just going to be 3 players on the left wing at one point.
They're going to be in that left half space, all 3 of them stood next to each other.
And Salah just there waving at the back post. Like, yeah, I don't know how it would work technically. So yeah, conclusion for me is that it looks like Wirtz, his minutes are just getting more secure.
Mm-hmm. While we're on Liverpool, let's talk about Mo Salah, because it is a reasonable discussion that he's been quite disappointing over the first 3 weeks. You know, a couple of stoppage time returns, didn't even have a shot, I don't think, against Arsenal, or didn't have one against Newcastle. Here's a lot of money, but you have Burnley and Everton, and it kind of comes back to the same point as we talked about with Wirtz, that I know the minutes I'm going to get with Salah, and I don't know where else I'm going to get those minutes. Do you plan, like, where is your mind at? Are you going, I'm just going to keep Salah for a couple more weeks and then sell him, or he's just in your team and you don't have a plan to move him on? Tom, I think you said you might sell him.
Yeah, before game week 1, my plan was to get Haaland in game week 6 without a doubt. Especially because I free hit in game week 2, and that's always the plan, and that's still the plan. Like it doesn't particularly scare me to sell Salah, and like there's no way of dressing up. His numbers this season have been awful. He's averaging 0.22 xGI per match. Obviously he hasn't got a penalty yet, which some penalty takers have, so that could gloss it up. But
Yeah.
like I don't think there's any doubt he's whether he's in a bad spell of form or he's peaked in his career. Like we're not going to know the answer to that question for 3 or 4 years. But like Haaland's numbers are so good as well. You know, so yeah, the plan is always to move to him in 6, and it's still the plan. Having said that, he's the best captain for the next 2 weeks. I think it's probably fair to say. So that's me.
Yeah, I think it's a tough one because if you look at obviously the fixture matchup this week between Haaland and Salah, like Salah plays Burnley away, but Haaland does play United at home, which is a great fixture for Haaland. Like he loves to score against United, and it's a home fixture as well. So I do think the justification is there to go early on Salah, but I mean he plays Burnley away, so you're not going to do it this week realistically. I'm just saying that if I had to pick one or two of them right now to have for the rest of the season, it would be Haaland in a heartbeat, based off what we've seen and the huge sample size of 3 games, which is obviously not a lot. But yeah, it looks like Haaland is going to creep his way into, dare I say, all of our FPL teams come the next few game weeks.
Interesting. I hadn't had such a plan to go to Haaland, but that's probably because I'm focusing on fixing the rest of the things in my team before I think about game week 6. The other option is just a free hit that week, and then you don't have to worry about it. Like, you could just hold Salah and not go to Haaland, because I think the City fixtures are good, but they're not. A lot of it is because of that Burnley fixture. They play.
I think he's the best captain in 7, Haaland.
Brentford.
Yeah, Salah's at Stamford Bridge.
Bruno at Sunderland at home, so
yeah, fair point. Another penalty.
yeah, another.
Well, you guys would probably be at that Stamford Bridge game for, was it Salah at Chelsea? I guess that would be
does
a nervy
usually
watch.
return, but yeah.
But yeah, you would rather captain Haaland away at Brentford.
But then it's Everton at home when Salah's got Man United. So, but I think it fundamentally comes down to what you think about Salah, and some people have already made their mind up that he's finished, as it were. Like, he's not going to be the best player this year. Some people are willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. I feel like this might be wrong, but I feel like the more experienced managers will give Salah too much time. Will give Salah more time, potentially too much time, is my take. I think the winner of FPL is going to be someone that went for Haaland pretty early. Probably already had Haaland by now.
Well, let's put all of that into practice, and let's start with your team, Tom, for this week. 1 free transfer, 1.5 million in the bank. Sanchez, Porro, Richard, Anderson, Salah, Fernandez, Wirtz, Dewsbury Hall, João Pedro, and Ollie Watkins. Any plans?
I did have a plan to do. Well, originally I was like, I'll do Dewsbury Hall to Sarr. That was like pre Dewsbury Hall, so I'm not doing that anymore. Anderson, and then it was I'll do Anderson to Sarr, because like that's not me like being frustrated that Anderson's been on 11 DEFCONs. I still think he's a good pick. Like, he's on corners, he's a bit of a threat. Although, you know, it wouldn't shock me if Nuno's sacked this week and suddenly like Douglas Luiz is, I don't know, the role could change a bit. But yeah, so it was Anderson to Sarr, which is now obviously not going to happen. So then I was like, well, who could I actually get? Like, I actually looked at Rodgers quite briefly. I don't think it's actually the worst thing ever, because knowing that I'm going to sell Watkins as well in a couple of weeks, but it's just a roll for me because I've got a kind of plan to roll in 4, roll in 5, and then 6 get Haaland, and then 7 get Gyökeres. But yeah, and now obviously Guiu, I had to factor Guiu into calculations because I want to get Palmer back for 9. So I need to sell Guiu before. So saving a transfer is probably my best in my best interest. There is eight Nori and Murillo. Murillo's probably a keep for another couple of weeks because they got Burnley Sunderland before potentially looking at Gabriel around 7.
Yeah.
And then eight Nori, like I'm benching eight Nori for the next 2 weeks, which doesn't feel quite right. Maybe you guys think I should play him over Anderson,
No, I wouldn't.
or Anderson, both Andersons.
Um,
Mm.
But like, I guess I could take him out for. Do I go early on Gabriel? I just don't really think it's worth the transfer. Munoz is obviously the one, um, but then I'd have double Palace. So yeah, it's basically what do you guys think about eight Nori? It's
I mean,
probably not worth it.
I would say he's going to go to Gabriel at some point. It's whether you want to do it now and get it out of the way, but then you're not going to realistically play Gabriel very much. I would probably roll, I think.
Yeah,
Would
I
you
agree
play
with
eight Nori?
I mean, I would play Ait Nuri over Anderson in your midfield. Because I do think, I mean, we could see obviously he is a defender. I think he's in the same category as Munoz, where it's like we're not getting Ait Nuri for those clean sheets. We're looking for those attacking returns. Um, but yeah, I do also think that he has a role even if he's on your bench, because having him as your first bench option, even over the next 2 weeks, I mean, that's really solid. But I think you make an interesting point about Rodgers, because I could just see like waiting for the price drop and then getting Rodgers in is like such an elite FPL manager move. That could be good.
Yeah, eight Nori. Like looking at Anderson, and this is Forest Anderson, not Fulham Anderson. Like his ceiling is probably 4 points at the Emirates, right? And he'll probably get booked as well, so it'll be 3 or 4. So maybe eight Nori is actually. If I didn't have Bruno, and this is probably me just being like biased, if I didn't have Bruno, I'd probably play eight Nori. But
Fair, fair.
Yeah, that's
I
fair.
do think Anderson, if he's gonna get DEFCON, then like a tough fixture against Arsenal away, he has to
Surely.
pass the threshold now.
unless Arsenal score early, in which case Arteta will park the bus. But yeah, that's how it stands. Could be eight Nori over Anderson, but yeah, it's going to be a roll. Unless
Cool.
Sarr was fit, in which case I would probably buy him for Elliot Anderson.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Stephen, I'll come to you next. We've got a couple of
Miracle,
teams
miracle.
yeah, we've got a couple of teams between the two of us that might need a little bit more attention. You're up first.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, my defense I'm really happy with this week, to be honest. They've all got really nice fixtures, so I'm happy with that. I do think a lot of the popular defensive picks have good fixtures this week anyways, but only thing I'm missing is a Liverpool defender against Burnley, which I initially obviously planned at the start of the season. That was like my only booked transfer in, but obviously things haven't worked out quite so well. But I do have double Liverpool attack and captain Salah against Burnley here. I also have double Villa attack against Everton, which has obviously been the biggest flop for me this season, but I'm not selling diamond hands with the Aston Villa attackers. So even though they obviously have forgotten how to score, but I've also got Harry Wilson against Leeds at home, which I'm just sitting here like, what? Why do I have him? Why did I go for him at the start of the season? I was just sucked in by the preseason hype, and he was like my, oh, I'm gonna have a bit of fun this season kind of pick, but it's not even started the past 2 games, and they've just signed a new winger, so not too hopeful on Harry Wilson, but I can't sell before Leeds at home, and then. I've got up top Mateta, Watkins, and Wood. Yeah, going into this game week, had a bit of a benching headache with Wood against Arsenal first on the bench, but now with Sarr out injured, I am playing Chris Wood, but the plan right now is to wait for the end of the international break, then start thinking about Sarr replacements. But as I said earlier in the stream, if I had to go for one today, it would probably be Kudus. But yeah, I've got a lot of time before that decision needs to be made.
Yeah, fine. So you think Sarr to Kudus, who would you bench if you did that move?
I probably would bench Chris Wood. So when I had this team originally set up, it was Wood on the bench with Sarr playing.
And you'd
Um,
start
yeah,
Wilson.
yeah, I would still start Wilson
Yeah.
against Leeds at home. Yeah,
Fine.
But he's not going to play. And
yeah. I
Wood's on
mean,
penalties. Like I think I'm not convinced by that decision at all.
Have you seen
fair.
Arsenal concede many chances this season?
No,
I
that's fair.
just,
I
I just
guess,
see
yeah,
Wood
okay.
as I see Wood like between Wood and Wilson. Like Wilson's XG off the bench is so It's something that I'm very, very interested in. Like he just loves coming off the bench
He
and
does, yeah.
scoring, which, obviously he hasn't done the past two games, but I got him for this fixture and I'm just gonna stick it out. And
Hmm.
if he doesn't do, I mean, there is other like fires to put out in my team, but he's definitely one of them. And I just need to justify this decision I made by playing him this week. I feel like it's a sunk cost fallacy, but he's starting in my team.
Yeah, it's fair. It's fair. And then my team, I'm putting Sarri in my starting lineup for now until I know that he's definitely out. He's also got the vice captaincy armband as well, so that tells you the state that things are in. Sanchez, Anderson, Porro, currently Williams, Rogers, Salah, Sarr, Fernandez, Reinders, João Pedro, Watkins. Like, it looks all right. The plan move this week was to buy a Palace defender. So either Williams to Munoz or Agbadu to Lacroix is probably the slightly more likely one. But then if Sarr's out, if he's out short term, and I might have him back in a couple of weeks, I would be tempted just to roll him and play Chris Wood, because I still look at it and think Sarr is the best mid at that price, and I still like their long-term fixtures. So that's an option. I could just play Chris Wood. Like, Sarr was brought in because I can bench Wood away at Arsenal this week, and then I could bench Reinders away at Arsenal next week. So if I don't sell him, I've got to do Chris Wood and Reinders against Arsenal for the next 2 weeks. I think I do want a defensive transfer. Like, I've been so impressed by Palace. I don't think the Wharton injury impacts it enough to put me off it completely. So I think Agbadu to Lacroix is very likely. I would like to go for Munoz, but I'm not sure the value is worth it for me to sell Williams before Burnley and Sunderland. I need to fully make up my mind about the free hit 6, because if I free hit 6, then I can sell Williams. But if I'm not, then I probably need to keep him. So I think if Sarr's out, I'll probably take a hit, I think, and I'll just sort it. But he'd need to be out for 3-4 game weeks for me to do that. If not, I'll just bench him and play Chris Wood, I think, and make a defensive move.
When you say taking a hit for Sarr, do you mean just like the hit is that you transferred him in and didn't play him, or that you would take a -4 to
I
do
think I'd take
another
a
transfer?
-4.
Yeah.
I mean, I could just sell him and just play Agbadu or play Williams and deal with that. And then, because in game week 5 and game week 6, my defense looks fine. It's just one fixture this week, and maybe it's not worth it. But when you look at someone like Palace, who look great, have good long-term fixtures, plus have a good fixture this week, it does make me more inclined just to get it done. So yeah, all eyes on how long Sarr is going to be out for. Because if it's a long time,
So who would
then...
you get for Sarr? Sorry.
Well, this is the other issue. Like, I don't really know. I don't have someone that I'm really...
How much budget would you have?
7-2, so I can't buy Semenyo.
That's rough.
You could go Chris Richards and Semenyo.
Yeah, I could also do Chris Wood to Mateta and get Semenyo.
Yeah, that depends on the free hit, like you said. Like,
Yeah,
if you're not free hitting, I wouldn't really be selling Chris Wood before Sunderland and Burnley.
yeah. Yeah, I could also sell... There's not enough mids for me to buy, because I could sell Rogers and free up some money if I needed to go to Semenyo, but I'm not doing Rogers to Grealish for a hit, I don't think, this week. So that's why I hope... like, if Sarr's not back for Sunderland, like, I'm fully expecting that, but it's how long he's out for is what's important. Because if I could have him back in a couple of weeks, I probably would just roll with him and keep him on the bench. That's my hope. If he's out, then I'll have to sell him, and maybe Kudus would be the one I'd go to, despite me not loving him, because the fixtures...
I mean, if you do free hit, the next international break's after 7, actually, not 6. So if Sarr was out for 4 weeks, you wouldn't have him back till game week 8.
I'd have to sell him, I think, then, because the price drops would I'd lose so much value on him as well.
Yeah. But you just know that Wood's gonna score, don't you? Like, you're gonna take a hit to avoid playing Wood.
Yeah. Maybe I wouldn't take a hit to avoid playing Wood, and I'd just not make a defensive transfer. I'm not going to wildcard, I don't think, unless something else happened between now and the deadline. And I'm also not going to free hit. Like, the free hit doesn't fix it, really. Like, my team would be better this week if I free hit. Like, I'm not I'm not doubting that, but I don't think it's worth it. Like, I'd go triple Palace and I'd go triple Liverpool. It is much better, but
I'd free hit 6, 100% free hit 6.
yeah.
You do like Man City. I was looking; they have their EFL Cup game before game week 6 as well.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got a free. I think the first choice team will play against Burnley. So
Yeah.
To throw a spanner in the works here, Harry. Obviously we've seen the lack of midfield options in FPL right now. Would you consider getting let's say downgrading Sar to someone like Anderson
Yeah.
and upgrading Williams to like a Liverpool defender who has Burnley and Everton away, or Everton in the next two fixtures?
So I have wondered about that. It was Sarr to Dewsbury Hall and upgrading Esteve. I think I can go Esteve to Munoz. Is another one that I've considered. So yes, it's a possibility.
Fair, fair. Another Dewsbury Hall owner in the stream
No.
now.
I mean, it doesn't have to be him. The other one I have a look at is Paquetá. I was talking to Tom about him. He's hit 11 and 15 DEFCON in 2 of the games this season. Looks like he's playing number 10. He's on pens as well. 5.9. He's dropped in price. 2 goals this season. So he's another one. If the West Ham fixtures were better, he would definitely be one I'd look at.
Fair. I mean, if you get Dewsbury Hall in, I'll get him too for Wilson, and then we can all have a little Dewsbury Hall party.
The thing is, I looked at that performance, and although he was really good, like the goal he scored, he's not going to score it again. Like, it's not one of those where I looked and he's getting chances.
What are you talking about, Harry? Did you not see him in the Conference League?
Yeah, I know, but like it wasn't a goal that I look at and think they're going to replicate that chance a lot. Like, he got played through and he absolutely swiped at it and put it in the near post. Like, he's not going to do that again. And outside of that, he's not had that many chances. So I like him. I like Paquetá. I just hope Sar's going to be available, and I'm living in this world that he's going to be okay. And it might just not be this week, and that'll be fine. But I'm hoping that the fact that he said he's all right after the game is he knows more than the reports do. And
Yeah,
I don't think
fair.
it's going to be right. But yes, so we've got a week and a half to wait and see what happens. But yeah. Cool. That is all. There are a couple of super chats in the chat. Let's have a look. Would you do Milenkovic to Munoz this week if you're on free hit in game week 6?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm not so sure about that. Like, you look at the next two fixtures, or sorry, after this Arsenal game, who do Forest play?
Burnley,
have-
Sunderland. But Sunderland would be the free hit week.
Would be the free hit team. Okay, yeah. You are still transferring out a Forest defender before Burnley, but I think it is justifiable when you look at the next two for Palace, and also you consider that Forest have they kept a clean sheet yet? I don't think so.
No.
Yeah.
So,
And like Munoz is good for ages, isn't he?
Yeah,
His fixtures,
fair.
their fixtures are just good for ages.
Yeah, that is a good move in that case.
Victorious Secret has asked, free hit 6 and wildcard 7, so we only need a player for the next 2 weeks. Is it fine to buy Ekatike?
Wow, that's a great question.
I think, but he's gonna get subbed off, isn't he? I don't think Isak will start. Would you chuck Isak in from Merseyside derby? I suppose Ekatike's never played in one either. That's tricky, you know. I could
If
just
you
get Mateta,
already-
Sunderland and
yeah.
West Ham.
Yeah, I
just
think
get
exactly.
Mateta.
Just get Watkins. He's the man on form. I'll get Mateta.
I don't. On a separate note, I don't really understand this wildcard free hit 6, wildcard 7 strategy. I've seen a few people mentioning it, but I don't really understand the
Wildcard
reason.
7's good.
Yeah, but then why are you free hitting 6? I know you can roll your transfers through the free hit and
City.
the wildcard, but then like, so what premiums are you going to have on a wildcard 7? Presumably still Haaland, right? Part of
Probably
the reason to wildcard 7 is to go Haaland and no Salah.
And Palmer.
So then why are you free hitting 6? To buy
You
Haaland,
don't have Haaland.
to wildcard.
But then you
with
won't
Leg.
have Haaland next week.
But that's my point. Like, on a wildcard 7, you're going to have Haaland, aren't you?
So you're saying you should just buy Haaland in 6?
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose. But I mean, I
Yeah,
think the free
fair.
hit, like I think you've got to use the free hit in the week you think's best, and then wildcard's either 7 or 13. So
It's a good point though. Like the two premiums you're going to buy are Haaland and Palmer, who in game week 6, Palmer has,
Brighton
I
at
think,
home and Haaland has
Brighton
Burnley
at
at home.
home. Yeah,
and
so
Gyökeres maybe. You'd wildcard in Gyökeres,
Yeah, I
wouldn't you?
suppose you're wildcarding Arsenal more in.
If you get in Gabriel, Gyökeres, Raya, Palmer, Haaland, like that's a perfectly good wildcard.
Yeah, it's just the combination of a free hit and then a wildcard that I don't know if I love.
fair.
And then one final one. I've considered free hit wildcard and giving up since game week 3 ended. Williams to Munoz, is it worth a hit? And thoughts on Strand Larson. Williams to Munoz, I mean, it's tough because, again, it comes down. If you're on free hit 6, then maybe it's one
It's
of
not
those.
a hit for a defender.
No.
I don't, because you think Williams gets points against Burnley and maybe gets DEFCONs against Arsenal.
Yeah.
Need not. He's capable, but you're going to need him to go off against Sunderland.
Yeah. Yeah, fair. And Strand Larson is a great option if he's available, but the reports are not great on him, I would say.
Yeah, it doesn't look too good for him. And also just one quick one on Williams. I see quite a few people worried about his minutes with the new signings that they've made, but I don't see him as a rotation risk at all, to be honest.
No. And I don't think Zinchenko's been brought to play left back either. He's not a left back, really. Arteta started playing him there. But they don't play Europa League between game week 3 and 4. They play an EFL Cup third round match away at Swansea. So you've got to expect they're all fine for Arsenal, Burnley, and probably Sunderland. So yeah, I wouldn't worry about it. By the time game week, the rotation rolls around, I think we'll be selling them for their fixtures regardless. Cool.
Maybe they'll have got some DEFCON by then.
Maybe not.
Murillo, like what is he? He hasn't even done anything.
Yeah, he was supposed
He's
to be the
got more
DEFCON
yellow
monster.
He's got more yellow cards than he's got DEFCON. Who'd have thought? Same with the rest of them. Cool. I think that's everything. It is, of course, international break, so we'll be back next week to have a look as everything starts to settle. And once we've seen Ismail Assar back in training and everything looks fine, we'll be back to talk about all of that. Have a lovely weekend, everyone. Enjoy some time without the football. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Stephen. And everyone else. We'll see you all next week.
See you guys.